So there's really deep concern in the USA over the media landscape and also the job market. And these two things are intersecting with the Washington Post layoffs that were just announced. It says Washington Post lays off 1/3 of staff in bid to reshape the company. And I'll read a quote on this. It says, this is a quote, if we are to thrive, not just endure, we must reinvent our journalism and our business model with renewed ambition. And we're talking cuts, sports, foreign news, and it also says transform how the paper covers core subjects. Part of this, you could argue, is financial. Another part, you could argue, is ideological. So there's definitely going to be changes at the Washington Post. And I also want to put this in context of the overall job market is scary out there. I'll be frank with you guys. If you're coming out of college right now, I just keep hearing it's really hard for young people to find something. And people in our community, either be it a young person or someone who's a parent, saying, yeah, it's just tough out there. For example, we didn't get jobs report recently. I guess we're going to get it next week. January jobs report will be released on February 11th after shutdown delay. And I just want to put it all in context and give a human aspect of this because I guess it's 300 journalists that are getting laid off, right? And usually when these things happen, you'll hear things from, people inside the company, but not in like this way. And I'll show you what I mean by that. This is a photo. It says a bad day. It's from Ishan Tharoor. I guess a picture of the office. This is also an employee. They had a Zoom call to let people know that there were changes. Let's watch it together here.
First, we will be closing the sports department in its current form. We plan to retain several reporters to join features and cover sports as a cultural and societal phenomenon, as well as several folks to staff the print sports section. This is obviously a uniquely and incredibly difficult decision. Our sports coverage is often superb. Our sports writers are among the most talented in our business. Sports has a very proud legacy at the Post. Unfortunately, we are grappling and have been with just major changes in the way sports news is delivered, shared, and experienced across the industry.
And this person writes, Sam writes, I am part of the mass layoffs at the Washington Post. I am sad and angry. We all want to keep doing the work, but for now I want to document a reality of being a journalist today. Another person writes, Lizzie, I was just laid off by the Washington Post in the middle of a war zone. I have no words. I'm devastated, right? And then she also writes from an earlier post, I'm waking up without power, heat, or running water again, but the work here in Kyiv continues, warming up in the car, writing in the pencil, pen ink freezes by headlamp. And sometimes people don't realize like the work that it does to do these kind of things, right? It's not easy. And, we're going to be losing a lot of really good people who report important stories around the world. It says, unfortunately, the Washington Post has decided to eliminate its Berlin bureau. It's coming from Aaron. And with it, my job. It's been an honor and adventure of a lifetime to the Berlin bureau chief, even if just for 6 months. So many great journalists have lost their jobs today. It's a dark day. And the media landscape is going to be more Fox Newsy type stuff.
It was an emotional meeting, and it is captured on camera and available to see in my new film, Melania.
Why do you feel it is appropriate to use an official White House event to promote your documentary?
This is not promotion. We are here celebrating the release of the hostages of Aviva and Kyiv. They were in Washington, D.C. They called me. They said they would like to come over to thank me and to give hugs, and that's why we are here. It has nothing to do with promotion.
Nothing to do with promotion. The reason why I'm showing you this is that if the world starts to go more to this Fox Newsy kind of stuff, right, and we start eliminating various news, agencies, outlets, or not allowing access to reporters, so say something like the Pentagon, where all the major news outlets have left, it's you're going to end up with basically Melania type content nonstop, right? Emotionless propaganda, just nonsense. And this is sort of why I'm showing you guys like these are real people affected. Sometimes when you see news of layoffs on in the news, be it from Amazon or UPS or multiple companies that we've been talking about this year, the numbers just seem so overwhelming. And then it was a good reminder yesterday when we were talking about the market crashing and the AI scare, how various people in our community, because I read through all your comments, were saying, I work at that company, right? Or I work at that company. Because so many companies are affected by this stuff, and this is just one example of one. I mean, I know in the whole scheme of things, it's like everyone's struggling right now, but I just want to make sure we always remember that these are real humans on the ground, especially in an environment where the big tech people like Elon Musk and stuff say, oh, we all want 5 robot buddies and we're all going to replace you with AI, but it's like, is this the environment that we want? That people that we do see on screen will end up being like Melania, just like that kind of person. Or no real person at all and just all AI. Another person writes here, I'm heartbroken to announce that I've been laid off from my position at the Washington Post. Working at this newspaper and especially being a foreign correspondent covering Iran and Turkey over the last few short months was a dream come true to me. Another person writes, and this person's upset, which understandably so, unbelievable that a man who spent $75 million on a film no one wants to see, that's the Melania one, right, about Melania Trump, has just fired almost all the foreign correspondents on the newspaper he owns. You might think nothing has happened in this world. Apparently, the Post has laid off every reporter and editor covering the Middle East. Jerusalem bureau closed. Also, Ukraine bureau closed. Another person writes, so I joined the ranks of the Washington Post laid off, including so much of the international staff. My Russia-Ukraine department has been gutted. Some of the best people fired. What serious paper doesn't cover the conflict? And it's all over, social media, people talking about this. Someone saying they were there for 17 years. My 17 years at the Washington Post ended today with an email saying my job had been eliminated. So many people I know got similar emails. I'm heartbroken for my colleagues in this horrible, beautiful industry. Another person says, today I am laid off from my job covering Amazon for Jeff Bezos' Washington Post.
Sally, what is your reaction to these layoffs?
I think the only word I can say is grief. Everybody's in a state of grief. It's really like in the last year, it's just been one funeral after the other. We've had nothing but going away parties, people being laid off, people taking the buyout, people just quitting. And it's just tragic what's happening to the Washington Post. And there's nobody who doesn't feel that way. It's not just me. It's not just the people at the Post, but it's everybody in journalism. My colleagues at the New York Times are just as upset as anybody because they don't want to see journalism dying. And they certainly don't want to see the Washington Post dying. The Washington Post is an institution, just like the New York Times. And the idea of having the paper just wither away is just so sad.
And especially for those who are watching this, you're older, and I'll use an example. Remember the Watergate thing, right? And reporters come out, or say the Vietnam War. I'm talking about, just going back in time when it was reporting is really important, right? Or if you want to go further in time, what about the whole weapons of mass destruction stuff with Iraq, or even right now, like what the heck's going on in the White House? There's experienced journalists that you want to keep on the ground to let you know what's going on the inside. They have multiple sources, etc. But just we are in a different landscape today. It is completely true. You're watching me on YouTube. We have conversations about this stuff, and there's things that I have complaints about. Say, if you want to call it mainstream media or whatever, but print media is really, really different than TV media. And I think this is how it is. Many modern audiences, like that sort of TV environment where people are just fighting all the time on TV. That's like much of what you see on TV media. And then you flip over to the YouTube space, and it's all over the map, right? It's like all over the map, but a lot of it revolves around people fighting and stuff like that, or swearing as much as you possibly can. And I guess audiences get more used to that stuff, and it's hard to keep print going. However, just to put it though in context, I completely understand how, people, if you're at the Washington Post and you're, laying off a third of the staff, and you're just like, why are you spending all this money on this Milani thing that no one wants to see? But that just shows you sort of the direction of where we're going. So I'm actually quite concerned about this story, and that's why I was talking about it with you today, and also concerned about the overall job market, because I think a lot of people are going to be going through this, and we'll keep you updated. So that's my thoughts on this. If you're affected by this, I'm sorry to hear about the situation. Do be careful out there and do be safe. And I'll catch you all in the next video.